Have you ever felt that pull, that deep knowing of where you're meant to be? It's a powerful feeling, one that can guide us through life's biggest journeys. Today, we're stepping back in time to witness a remarkable moment in the life of a young boy who already knew his purpose. This is the story of Jesus at the temple, a tale of faith, family, and a glimpse into a divine destiny. Our story begins under the warm Middle Eastern sun. Every year, like clockwork, Jesus' family made a special pilgrimage. They traveled the dusty roads to the magnificent city of Jerusalem for the Passover festival, a time of great spiritual significance. When Jesus turned 12, he was finally old enough to join them. Imagine the excitement in his young heart, walking alongside Mary and Joseph, the silhouette of the holy city growing larger on the horizon. This wasn't just a trip, it was a rite of passage. As they entered Jerusalem, the city was a symphony of sounds and sights. The temple courts were alive with energy. People from all over had gathered, their voices rising in prayer and song. The air was thick with the scent of incense and the bleating of animals brought for sacrifice. Priests moved with purpose, their robes flowing as they performed their sacred duties. For a boy from the quiet town of Nazareth, this was an overwhelming, awe-inspiring spectacle. Jesus' eyes, wide with wonder, took it all in. He wasn't just a spectator. He was soaking in the very essence of his heritage, the heart of his faith. When the week of celebration concluded, the great exodus from Jerusalem began. Caravans formed, and families grouped together for the long journey home. Perhaps playing with his cousins or walking with other family members. The camera of our minds pulls back, showing the vastness of the traveling party, and in that crowd, a small, important figure is unknowingly left behind. The sun began to set, casting long shadows across the landscape. The day's travel was coming to an end. It was then, as families gathered for their evening meal, that the quiet unease began. Mary looked for Jesus among the children. Joseph asked their relatives if they had seen him. The casual questions soon turned into frantic calls. The realization dawned on them with chilling certainty. Jesus was not with them. An entire day had passed, and their son was missing. Panic set in. The joy of the festival was instantly replaced by a parent's worst fear. They had to turn back. Imagine the agonizing journey back to Jerusalem. Every step filled with anxiety, every passing face scanned with desperate hope. For 3 long days, Mary and Joseph searched the sprawling city. They retraced their steps, questioned strangers, and prayed for a miracle. Their hearts ached with worry. Where could a 12-year-old boy be in a city this vast? Finally, exhausted and losing hope, they returned to the one place that had captivated Jesus' attention, the temple, and there he was. Not lost, not scared, but sitting calmly in one of the temple courtyards. He was surrounded by the most learned men of the time, the teachers of the law, the scholars, the experts. Scrolls were spread open before them. These were wise, elderly men, and yet they were leaning in, listening intently to this young boy from Galilee. He wasn't just listening. He was participating, asking profound questions that went to the heart of the scriptures. The scene was astonishing. The teachers, men who had dedicated their lives to studying the law, were captivated. A palpable sense of amazement filled the air as they exchanged looks of disbelief and wonder. When they posed questions to Jesus, his answers were not those of a child. They were filled with a depth of understanding and a wisdom that seemed to come from a source far beyond his years. The Bible tells us that everyone who heard him was amazed. He wasn't just repeating what he'd learned. He was revealing an innate connection to the divine truth. Suddenly, Mary saw him. A wave of relief washed over her, so powerful it almost brought her to her knees. But relief was quickly followed by the pent-up emotion of 3 days of terror. She rushed to his side, her voice a mixture of love and gentle rebuke. "Son," she said, her heart in her words, "why have you treated us like this? Your father and I have been anxiously searching for you." It's a cry that any parent can understand, the fear, the worry, the desperate need to know their child is safe. Jesus looked at his mother, not with defiance, but with a pure, loving gaze. A soft light seemed to frame his face as he replied with a simple yet profound question. "Why were you searching for me?" He asked gently, "Didn't you know I had to be in my Father's house?" In that moment, he wasn't speaking of Joseph, his earthly father. He was speaking of God. It was the first recorded time he revealed his unique relationship with his heavenly Father, a glimpse into the mission that lay before him. Mary and Joseph may not have fully understood the depth of his words then, but they knew they were significant. With their son found, the family was whole again. Jesus obediently left the temple and went with them back to their quiet life in Nazareth. The journey home was different this time, peaceful, yes, but also filled with a new sense of wonder about their extraordinary son. Mary treasured all these things in her heart, pondering the mystery and the promise of the boy who was both hers and, in a way, belonged to the world. Back in Nazareth, life returned to normal, yet everything had changed. We see a young Jesus growing, working alongside Joseph in their carpentry workshop, learning a trade, and being a son. But the seeds of his divine purpose had been sown and revealed. The Bible beautifully concludes this chapter of his life by saying, "And Jesus grew in wisdom and stature, and in favor with God and man." He developed physically, intellectually, spiritually, and socially, preparing for the incredible journey that was still to come. This story is a powerful reminder that purpose can reveal itself in the most unexpected moments, even in our youth. It's about listening to that inner calling and having the courage to be where we are meant to be. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the past. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories that inspire and uplift. Until next time, may you also grow in wisdom and find your purpose.